What's good, everybody out there on YouTube? This is your man Hastags dropping some hot frogga on this mic. Today's topic is Multiversus and is it carried by the IPs within the game? Now, I decided to do this video because I saw a comment thread in my last video on Multiversus about whether or not Multiversus will be, will it last? And was the game actually good, or are people just playing it because of the IPs in the game? Now, there's a few things we need to break down, and I think that's longevity, the game's actual quality, and doesn't necessarily matter if the game is carried or not within the grand scheme of things. But before we move on, make sure you hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, it's free, and follow your boy on Twitter, at least if you want to stay notified without having to rely on YouTube's shoddy notification system. But first, let's talk on longevity. Now, there's quite a few factors that go into longevity, especially considering this is a live service game. Some of the things that this game needs that, will ultimately lead to it having a long life are skins and cosmetics, which allows the game to essentially fund itself. And if you watch my last video, I actually think that these skins need to be lowered in price, because right now you don't really get a lot of bang for your buck. $20 and all you get is the character skin, not any other cosmetics related to that character skin or any taunts or anything. I just think that's not a lot of bang for your buck, considering games like Fortnite will give you a skin, a glider, back bling, a taunt, sometimes multiple taunts, a pickaxe, etc. There's just a lot more than the actual skin that you're getting itself. And some of these skins in Multiversus are 2 to 2.5 times the price of the actual character. So I think it's kind of ludicrous to expect people to pay that much when you're getting so much less. But I think one of the things that's sort of lacking from Multiversus, for right now at least, is that there are no events. We don't know of any super major tournaments happening that are hosted by WB themselves. They're not advertised in the game. There's no events to essentially, tie into skins and cosmetics, or to just change up the general flow of gameplay. I think we need events and game modes added over time to give the game longevity like a Smash or a Fortnite. And I think they should do this through player-generated content, because I think that's a good way of keeping the game fresh. Again, look at Fortnite, the biggest live service game right now, arguably, and look at how much user-generated content's in the game. I feel like Multiversus needs something like that for it to live a long time. But is the game actually good? What does the game actually do right? And I think the gameplay is one of the things that it does right. It's relatively simple and it feels good to play. Now, this isn't to say that there isn't any level of depth to it. That's not the point that I'm making. I'm making the point that it's easy to pick up and play, and it probably will have a rather high skill ceiling. It's too early in the game to know, but with things like the movesets being varied, perks adding a new layer of depth because they alter the way moves work or give moves new properties with certain characters, I think we could easily say that this game may have a layer of depth unseen in the platform fighter genre, or the fighting game genre in general. On top of that, the game has actual voice acting and music to represent the franchises, unlike another $50 game, and it isn't pay to win. As much as I hate how expensive the microtransactions in this game are, they don't affect the gameplay directly. On top of that, the Battle Pass actually seems to provide quite a bit of content based on the alphas and the current open beta, with Season 0 being live right now. Now, that could change, but right now it seems like they're trying to provide a lot of value via the Battle Pass rather than you buying individual skins. So the game's doing a lot right, but what is the game doing wrong? Like I said in the previous points, the microtransactions are just too much. And alongside that, the amount of gold you get currently is ludicrously small. Now, that's partially not a direct fault of the game, but how people are playing the game, because you get much more gold if you complete the set rather than if you play one match. And I don't know, I feel like you shouldn't be punished because someone doesn't want to run the set. I feel like they should just, encourage running the set by giving you a vast more amount of gold for running the set, rather than diminishing the amount you get from playing one match. On top of that, the netcode just needs improving. I'm tired of getting on the game, fighting Wi-Fi warriors, teleporting all over the screen. People who've come by through my streams have seen it, where there's just a mass amount of teleporting and there's just nothing I can do. And if I get hit, or if the opponent gets hit, it doesn't matter. Someone gets hit, that's all you gotta do. You just gotta hit buttons and hope somebody dies. I also feel like private lobbies need some work. Like, there's no King of the Hill style of game mode. There's no multi-match lobbies like other games like Skullgirls or some Arc Sys games. And I feel like stage voting just all around needs to be not only in just private lobbies, but public lobbies also. I'm tired of playing on Scooby-Doo's Mansion. It's honestly a horrible stage. I don't think there's a single player who I've seen that likes Scooby-Doo Mansion. Now, this last point is the game carried? Like, the game has a large swath of characters from a myriad of IPs owned by Warner Brothers, and from what we know, there's going to be crossovers with third parties, like 11 from Stranger Things is supposedly coming. So is this an issue? Are the IPs carrying the game? And I'd like to say yes and no. I think it's kind of dumb to make it a point that this game is being carried by IPs when almost every single other platform fighter on the market relies on other IPs to carry it. I mean, I think the biggest example is Smash. There are no original characters in Smash at all. I mean, at least Multiversus has Rhyndog, despite that character, me just not liking that character. And other IPs that initially had original characters and relied on original characters don't anymore. They rely on crossovers like Brawlhalla and even games like Rivals of Aether. And while I like that there is the possibility of original characters to come down the line, I'm more excited for the crossovers than anything else. I mean, that's the whole big reason people like Smash. Like, Sora was a fever dream for me. And in all of those games, well, except for Brawlhalla. You know, I gotta slide into Brawlhalla somewhere in here. But in general, the gameplay across these games are relatively solid. Some far better than others. But at the end of the day, the huge appeal to it is that you get to play as these characters you've seen in other franchises and fight against other characters from other franchises. So I think to say that Multiversus being carried by the IP is a little bit ridiculous. Well, yes, that's the initial pull that gets everyone to play these games. I think the game is going to have a long life. There's some things that it needs to do to ensure that long life, but otherwise, I think that with how involved the developers are with the community and how much content is being leaked out online for what they have planned for this game, it's very obvious that this game is going to have a long life. Yes, there are issues with the gameplay, specifically like really the netcode and the balance. Those are the two issues. Like, Finn is honestly ridiculous. I don't like fighting against that character. I'll get over it because I like playing the game, but at the end of the day, I don't think a single person really likes fighting Finn. And then on top of that, a lot of people are trying to figure out how to fix lag in Multiversus. Anytime I look up Multiversus half the time on YouTube, it's about fixing lag. It shows there's an obvious issue with the netcode. Yeah, some people are going to say people need to wire in. I'm saying people need to wire in. But at the end of the day, it's not an option for everybody, and I realize that. So I feel like they need to do some things on the back end to make the gameplay experience better, at least for those playing against laggy players. But that's all I really have to say on the subject. How do you feel on the subject of Multiversus being carried? Do you think it's carried, and do you think the game will live past this initial honeymoon period? Tell me how you feel in that comment section down below. This has been your man, Hastags. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. Remember, Hot Faraga turns to Cold Blizzaga. Chill out with some more other videos, and follow your boy on Twitter at MobShatic100. We're out of here. Peace, and have a good one.
See you, Space View.